Before me. Just a little human before me? Min Woo? No, I'll be alright.
All good?
Is this working?
Okay, good afternoon. I'd like to welcome back Victor Perez to the WGC Dell Technologies match play. Victor, last time you were here, a fourth place finish for you. Just give us a sense of what it's like to be back here in Austin and what you're looking forward to this week.
Yeah, obviously I'm very happy to be back. It's just a great event. It's obviously nice to play match play for the second time this year after playing the Hero Cup back in Europe. So yeah, it's great. Of course, it's great. Obviously, it's had a bit of rain today, so we'll see how it shakes itself through the week. I think maybe a few thunderstorms and stuff like that, so we'll see.
You speak about the Hero Cup. You obviously had a great week there as part of continental Europe and then went on to win in Abu Dhabi. How did you find that match play set you up for the victory, and how do you go about this week in terms of stroke play to match play and your thought process?
It's always obviously a little different. I think, Scotty won last year and then went on to win the Masters, so there's definitely some added value if you have a great week here, being so close to the first major of the year. But yeah, the style might be a little different because you obviously only have to beat one guy. Yeah, so I guess we'll see. I guess it depends. Sometimes you can play great and lose, and sometimes you don't have to play that well and you can get through a match.
Talking about your group as well, you're paired in there with Morikawa, Day and Svensson. Just thoughts on that, and how do you approach the week?
Yeah, I mean, there's not any easy group, so I think whichever way you're going to look at it, eventually if you're going to make it all the way, you're going to have to be top 10 and great players, so there's no way to hide and no way to get around. So eventually you're going to have to play some exceptional golf, and hopefully things, eventually are going to need to work out. You might get a little lucky, but for the most part, you're going to have to play great.
Sure. We can open up to questions from the floor if people want to raise hands. We're going, Cameron.
You had some success last year. What was the main sort of takeaway? What did you learn about either yourself or this golf course or the format?
I mean, I think it's a great course for match play just because of how, that back nine with par fives, drivable par fours. There's obviously a lot of short clubs into greens, so there's obviously a lot of birdie opportunities. But if you get out of position, sometimes you might win a hole with a par. So I think the course really sets up nicely for the format, which is great. I think match play sometimes pushes you to the edge because it's very black or white, it seems like, for me at least, to where, the equation is made up for you. It's either like, well, you hit it to 6 feet, so there's no way to, I don't need to play any kind of percentage or try to be smart or anything. It's like I got to match what the other person's doing, or at least that's how I play match play. I know some guys like to just play their own ball like they would do any other way and then see where it falls. But I try to play more the shot and the like man to man. But so I think it's always a little different.
Sure. Just going at the front.
Hey, Victor, how much is the Ryder Cup on your mind all through this year and when you're playing events like this?
Yeah, obviously massive being back in Europe this year. I was in that same scenario 2 years ago going into Whistling Straight, having had a great start, and then I ended up just short. So I can draw from some of that past experience, being close of making the team and obviously being in a good position this year. I think this is definitely a big event because of the format. But again, there's so much golf to be played between now and when the qualification process ends. So I think you just still have to put things into perspective and not be like, well, if I, play great this week, it's a guarantee. And if I don't, then I have no chance. It's still a long season, regardless of what's happening.
I hope I'm remembering this right, but I think you and your family are big rugby people, and I'm curious what you thought of Six Nations this year.
Oh, wow, yeah. I thought, obviously France played great. I was delighted to the finish. It was sad that they lost the first game to Ireland, but if I were to choose, I'd rather lose this one and do well in the World Cup than the other way around.
Yeah. And I think this is kind of a tenuous connection, but growing up in a team sports environment like that and being so familiar with that, do you think it makes the appeal of something like the Ryder Cup more to you because, you had that background, unlike some other golfer who maybe was just playing an individual sport their whole lives?
Yeah, I think so. I've grown up playing all sorts of team sports, which I think are, nice because you win together and you lose together, so you get both sides, which are, I think the wins are greater and the losses are more tragic when you go into a locker room and everybody's sad. Whereas I think in golf, with the fortune that we have to play so many events every week, you play great, you play bad, you come the next weekend always massive. Whereas if you lose a final in a team sport, then you have to wait the whole year before you play that final again. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's an environment I like, and yeah, I try to draw from it for sure.
Sure. Just down the front. Just here.
Victor, you were a psychology major in college in New Mexico?
Yep.
Do you use that a lot in your golf? And do you use it more in match play where you try to psych out your opponent?
Yeah, I wouldn't, maybe, I don't know. It's a hard question. I wouldn't say, I don't know if I really use all that much from my college degree or whatever, but yeah, I don't think you really try to psych out your opponent and try to do something. Eventually, it's just you try to play the best you can, and there's no tricks to match play. I don't think you want to turn into this type of player that's known for being like, oh, he's just weird when he plays match play and does all sorts of funny stuff to try to win a hole. I think at the end of the day, the best player is probably going to win regardless of what you do. So I try to take this approach more.
And you're right on the lip of qualification for the Masters, right? So using this week to hopefully propel you into that?
Yeah, I was happy, obviously, to play in last week, which was a perfect lead-up because I hadn't played since basically the start of February in Europe. So it's nice to get an event before going into this big week. But yeah, it is a big week. Obviously, it'd be nice to have a great week, get into the top 50 and play the Masters a couple of weeks from now. It's a great incentive. So definitely a big added bonus if I were to do well.
Sure. Back to Cameron.
Victor, how old were you when you first played match play? And do you remember just taking to it immediately, or did you have to sort of figure it out?
Well, back in France, when we're in junior tournaments, we've played that. I guess our main championship at the end of the year was match play. You do 2 rounds of stroke play, and then you do a bracket type tennis format where you go up to the thing. So we've played that from under 12, under 14, under 16, under 18. So we've played a lot of match play growing up. So it definitely helped. But again, it's just how much can you really draw from your 12-year-old match play experience? It's hard to say.
You're not that much older. Come on.
Yeah.
Do we have any further questions for Victor? I think we're all good. Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks.
All the best this week.